Have you ever felt like your life is just a monotonous routine? Like no matter how much you try, you can't shake this feeling of emptiness. Maybe you've kept quiet in situations where you should have spoken up, or agreed with things you didn't truly believe in just to fit in. You might be tired of pretending everything is okay when deep down, your gut tells you it isn't. Are you wondering if this is really how life is supposed to be, or if there's something more out there? Many people live like this, trapped in a life they didn't choose, surrounded by people they barely know, following rules without questioning where they came from. The herd offers comfort, direction, and a sense of belonging. It takes away the need for decision-making and the burden of responsibility. In the herd, you don't have to be unique, you just have to follow along. It sounds easy. It sounds safe. But at what cost? Are you willing to sacrifice your true self for the sake of fitting in? To suppress your dreams and desires in order to be accepted? To spend your whole life trying to fit into a mold that wasn't made for you? The herd teaches us to conform, to be content with less, to fit into a system without questioning its purpose. It encourages us to fear taking risks, questioning the status quo, stepping out of line. But is it worth sacrificing your freedom for the sake of security? Your happiness for the sake of acceptance? Your authentic self for the sake of belonging? Are you living just to please others? Are you sacrificing your own desires to fit in and be accepted? The illusion of security in a herd can be tempting, but it's as fragile as glass. At the first sign of trouble, everything falls apart, and many realize too late that they've spent their lives trying to survive, not truly live. It's time to ask yourself, what do I really want? And most importantly, what am I willing to lose to be myself? Because breaking free from the herd can be costly, but living trapped in it is even more expensive. Have you ever swallowed words to avoid being misunderstood? Have you ever given up on a dream because your family or friends didn't understand, or stopped doing something you loved because others found it strange or excessive? Maybe you're tired of feeling guilty for wanting to live your life. Maybe you don't even realize you carry fears that aren't your own. These fears are often passed down from generation to generation, like an invisible chain. The herd is skilled at using guilt to control you. It makes you feel wrong for wanting something different. Society, family, friends, they all put expectations on you. And if you don't meet them, the fear of disappointing, of not being loved, of being rejected surfaces. The worst part is that this fear is often hidden. It disguises itself as common sense, responsibility, values. But deep down, it's just fear of being free. Because being free is scary. In reality, it's just a fear of being independent. Because being independent is terrifying. No one cheers you on. No one gives you instructions. No one tells you what to do. You see this in nature when the survival of the group is prioritized over the individual. This turns fear into bravery and obedience into leadership. It teaches that doing what's right means following rules even when they feel restrictive. And without realizing it, you start echoing those voices. I can't do this. My parents won't approve. What if I fail? What will people think of me? Each of these thoughts is a trap. The question is, how long will you live your life according to others' expectations? How long will you let fear dictate your choices? Independence may seem uncomfortable at first, but it comes with great rewards. The first step to break free is always the hardest. Suddenly, what seemed so clear becomes unclear. Leaving the group is always the toughest part. Suddenly, what felt right starts to unravel. The place that protected you no longer fits. Conversations become hollow. Relationships shallow. You realize that many of your connections were just convenient, habitual, out of fear. And when you start questioning, challenging the unspoken rules, the group reacts. You become the outsider, the ingrate, the rebel. The pain is real. It's a gnawing emptiness. You feel like you're betraying something sacred. Your family, your community, your culture. It's the sting of being rejected by the good ones, the right ones, those who follow the rules without question. The disapproving glance hurts more than any word. You understand that many were only with you because you agreed, conformed, said amen. When you step outside the bubble, the silence screams. It's the silence of exclusion, the silence of those who don't know how to deal with your independence. Nature knew the solitude of the free thinker was inevitable. This sense of not belonging is the initial cost of freedom. It's not easy to break free from a system that has shaped your entire life to believe that the right thing is to follow the crowd. The sensation of not belonging is the initial cost of freedom. It's challenging to break free from a system that ingrains from childhood the notion that the right thing is to follow the crowd. The first step is always uncomfortable. However, this discomfort is a sign that something within you is awakening. You are finally starting to live. Freedom is not a beautiful garden, it's a barren desert. When you choose authenticity, you won't find a celebration, applause, or acceptance. Instead, you'll experience solitude. Even when surrounded by people, you feel the emptiness. Conversations seem superficial, topics trivial. Many people live like ghosts, present in body but absent in mind. The worst part is they don't even realize it. You try to share your thoughts, but you encounter resistance. Gradually, you speak less. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you understand that few are willing to listen. Nature intended this solitude as part of the process. He knew the price of freedom is high. You'll lose comfort, approval, applause. But in this desert, something new will emerge. Solitude can be uncomfortable, but it also brings clarity. It forces you to confront your inner truths, fears, and desires. This process of introspection is necessary and transformative. It's only when you stop seeking external validation that you truly discover who you are. Solitude is not a punishment, it's a calling. It's a time for self-discovery, understanding, and healing. When everything feels overwhelming, remember that this is the time when your strength is being forged. The desert may seem like the end, but it's actually the path. At first, others may try to convince you to return to the right path, but when they realize you won't give in, they may become judgmental or accusatory. Don't let their negativity deter you from your journey of self-discovery. Your individuality is met with suspicion and hostility. You're no longer part of the group, but not because you've done anything wrong. It's because you've chosen to live differently, to think for yourself. The herd can't tolerate those who challenge their norms. Your independence reveals their limitations. You might have experienced this firsthand. The friend who suddenly distanced themselves without explanation. The family who started treating you as a problem. The criticism masked as concern. You've changed too much. Be careful not to lose yourself. Those thoughts are dangerous. What they truly mean is you're reminding them of everything they couldn't have the courage to be. The resentment of the herd is a subtle poison. It attacks you but claims to protect. Nature said that the morality of the herd is a morality of disguised envy. They don't want you to succeed, to stand out, to live freely because that forces them to confront their own limitations. They don't want anyone to exceed. They want everyone to be equal. Equal in mediocrity, in conformity, in a lukewarm life. They want everyone to be the same. Same in mediocrity, same in conformity, same in a dull existence. Anyone who dares to question becomes a target. First they try to persuade you. If you don't comply, they reject you. If you persist, they start to hate you. This hatred is a test, and it hurts. Of course, it hurts. But it's also a sign. If the crowd begins to resent your individuality, it means you're on the right track. You demonstrate without words that it's possible to live without being a prisoner. The fear that surrounds you is not yours. It's theirs. The question is, will you let their fear hold you back? Or will you continue even if alone, knowing that your freedom is a beacon for those still searching for their own? At some point, you stop explaining. You try to reason, justify your choices, prove you're not crazy, that your decision to be free isn't a whim. But over time, you realize it's futile. People only hear what they want to hear. Most don't. People often only hear what they want to hear. Most don't. They cling to their beliefs, and silence becomes their refuge. You understand that not everything needs to be said, and not everyone deserves to know your thoughts. Sometimes, staying silent is the strongest choice. To remain silent, you need conviction. It means being at peace with your decisions, even if others don't approve. It's like nature saying that maturity starts when we stop trying to convince others. When we realize that we don't have to be understood by everyone. This is when the pressure of the crowd fades away. You no longer need to fight to be heard, and you know that your truth doesn't depend on others' approval. The silence of submission is fear. It's the silence of those who swallow everything to avoid conflict. But the silence of strength is calm, almost defiant. It's the silence of those who don't need to prove anything to anyone. Of those who know that words are wasted when no one wants to hear. If you've felt this before, you know what I mean. You become more selective about who you spend time with and who you share your true self with. You realize that peace is worth more than any applause. You become more discerning about who you spend time with and share your true self with. You realize that inner peace is more valuable than external validation. Solitude is the armor of those who have found their own path. And in the end, it speaks louder than any words. Sometimes the kindest words can conceal the harshest truths. The crowd loves to hide behind inspiring speeches. They talk about love but carry resentment. They preach compassion but celebrate when you fail. They say they care about your well-being, but beneath the smile, they hope you'll return to their way, their norm. This is resentment, anger masked as virtue. Nature sees resentment as the most toxic poison of the crowd. Because it's not honest criticism, it's a hidden energy that says, I couldn't be free, so you can't either. The resentful person can't stand seeing someone break free. They prefer to live bound but tell themselves everyone is in the same boat. When someone escapes, they feel envy but won't admit it. They'll criticize you, call you arrogant, ungrateful, selfish. They'll point fingers rather than look within. You might have experienced this when you decided to move, change jobs, end friendships, leave relationships, seek something new, and the reactions came. The bitter comments followed. Wow, how selfish of you. The harsh comments arrived. Wow, how selfish of you. You think you're better than others. It's going to backfire. You'll regret it. Sometimes, even from those we love the most, resentment can come. That's why it's important to be aware of it. Not to seek revenge, but to protect yourself. To know when someone's advice is genuine and when it's a trap. When someone's affection is real and when it's just a way to keep you trapped. Resentment can be a form of control. those who can't be free try to keep others captive. And the best way to deal with resentment is to remain free. Don't explain yourself, don't justify yourself, don't need approval from those who never had the courage to be who you are. When you choose to live outside the norm, things can get challenging. The references disappear. The old rules no longer work, and there's no new manual waiting for you. Suddenly, it's dark without signs, without trails, without a compass. Each step is a risk. Suddenly, you find yourself in a situation where everything is unclear. There are no signs, no paths, no compass. Each step is a risk. And then the biggest challenge comes, defining your own ethics. Creating values that are not inherited or copied, but born from your direct experience. Nature calls this process of reevaluation. It's about changing the way you see the world, flipping traditional values and creating something new based on your experience. It's not easy. The herd likes to give everything pre-packaged. What's right? What's wrong? What's success? What's failure? But when you break free from this, you realize that these definitions are fragile. They only serve to maintain control. Outside the herd, there are no more black and white answers. Only questions. What is good for me? What helps me grow? What connects me with my essence? What drives my growth? What connects me to my true self? This is both terrifying and exhilarating. You break free from societal norms and embrace life on your own terms. You learn that mistakes are opportunities for growth. That failures are lessons. That struggles are expressions of freedom. The weight of societal expectations lifts. And in its place, something new emerges. An ethics grounded in authenticity, resilience, and passion. An ethics that may not be understood by others. And that's okay. It's a lonely path, but rewarding. Because when you define your own values, you become unwavering. Criticism doesn't deter you. Pressure doesn't shape you. You live to honor your own self, not to please invisible audiences. And in the end, you realize that the only validation that truly matters is your own. Freedom feels like a dream until you actually experience it. At first, it's a celebration of triumph. The concept of freedom is often romanticized until one experiences it firsthand. At first, the feeling of liberation is exhilarating. You believe that nothing can stop you, that you have complete control over your life, that the world is full of possibilities. However, as time goes on, the initial euphoria fades away. This is because freedom, unlike what others may have told you, does not come with guarantees. It does not promise safety or security. It does not provide a roadmap. Instead, it requires you to take full responsibility for every decision you make, every mistake you commit, and every consequence that follows. And that can be terrifying. You realize that you can no longer blame external factors such as society, family, teachers, or the government for your problems. Now, it's just you and life, face to face, without any excuses. And the weight of this can be overwhelming because, while everything is possible, everything can also go wrong. There's no one else to rely on. You are the only navigator of your journey. And for many, this freedom is unbearable. In fact, nature has always known this. He said that only a few can handle the burden of true freedom because it does not provide any accolades, a guaranteed path, or approval. On the contrary, it isolates you, challenges you, makes you question everything, even yourself. Freedom is an open field. Freedom is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it empowers you to make your own choices and forge your own path. On the other hand, it can also be overwhelming and lonely, challenging your beliefs and even your sense of self. But that's what makes it so rewarding. The thrill of being free to live life on your own terms, to take risks and make mistakes, and to learn from them. It's about embracing uncertainty and stepping out of your comfort zone. It's about being true to yourself, even when the world around you tries to conform you to certain standards. It's about breaking free from societal norms and expectations, and creating your own values and beliefs. It's about being imperfect and human, and learning to accept yourself for who you are. It's about realizing that you are the master of your own destiny, and that you have the power to shape your own reality. It's about taking responsibility for your own life and making the most of the opportunities that come your way. It's about being a Übermensch, a person who is self-aware, self-reliant, and self-determined, and who is not afraid to blaze their own trail. It's not about being perfect or better than others. It's about staying true to yourself, even when the whole world seems to be against you. It's about being your own compass, even if no one else understands the journey you're on. You don't need anyone else's approval, not from your family, friends, or colleagues. You don't need to explain your choices, or justify yourself. The peace of those who know what they want is unshakable. It doesn't need to shout, or boast, or seek attention. You walk with confidence, even when the voices around you try to distract you. In the end, the most powerful legacy is not in eloquent words or complex ideas. It's in the quiet example of those who dared to be different. Of those who had the courage to say no to the crowd, of those who lived an authentic life, even if it meant rejection from others. The world will always try to convince you to conform. But you already know the cost is too high. You've already survived the desert, endured the silence, and faced the resentment. Now you are your own guide. And that freedom is worth everything.